Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with Season 5, Episode 4 of our weekly Q&C&A&T videos. The name's only going to get longer with each season. We're going to find some way to add extra letters, I promise you. And so, before we get into the questions today, I actually wanted to mention I am vaguely injured, and I'm only mentioning this because it's recent. It wouldn't be interesting otherwise, but
right just before this.
Yeah, I took a major spill. There was a little patch of water, went a little fast, legs kicked out from under me. I slid into a recycling bin and was not quite literally, but almost literally showered in empty bottles and cans and cartons.
Detritus.
Yeah. So I'm
glad you're not hurt. I'm seriously hurt.
I'm not seriously hurt. My wrist is a little sore. My pride is a little bruised, but I'm generally doing fine. But I just this is something that's going on with me right now, and I just wanted to kind of let y'all in on what's up.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm just glad you're not hurt.
Yeah. So, getting into the first question, this is not a question, this is a comment, and it's not a particularly nice comment, as you'll see in just a moment, but it's a very funny one. Soul Reaper says, "Get jobs, you hippies." I guess I'll take it first. Currently, my job is being a full-time student, so, I mean, I'm not being... There's no income for that, but I kind of have a job.
I don't know why we're hippies. I don't know how that's... I guess I don't know how we became identified as hippies.
Yeah.
I don't know how it turned out to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because hippies are pretty mellow.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? Maybe it's because we give off good chill vibes, and if that's why, I'm okay with being called a hippie. I don't know... This definitely wasn't meant to be a nice comment, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with being a hippie. I feel like a lot of the things that you would associate with the hippies, other than maybe the psychedelics, are pretty unambiguously not bad. You know?
I guess, is there an implication that they're unwashed? Or should I say we're unwashed?
Yeah, okay. So maybe we're a little dirty, and maybe there's an implication that, for some reason, something about our content has indicated to this person that we enjoy using psychedelic drugs recreationally, but...
And that we don't work.
Yeah, but I can confirm that neither of those things are true.
I think maybe it's the thing that we're not really like a total into authority thing, you know? We're sort of... The fact that we actually have a glitch channel means we're rising up against the man. I don't know. Anyways, listen, it made me laugh when I saw that comment.
I think the moment that we try to figure out why they said it, we put more thought into the comment than they did in making it.
That's true.
I think maybe we're putting a little too much stock in Soul Reaper making a well-constructed insult. Yeah. I don't know. It wouldn't even be a thoughtful comment. Just like a well-constructed insult, I feel like, is even maybe asking a little too much of the YouTube comment section. But just wanted to get jobs, you hippies.
All right.
There we go.
So moving right along.
Yeah, our next question comes from yazan, Kayali, and they say, "Can you please say to me why some people say that getting new multiplayer characters and they are level 60 can get banned?"
So we've got a video that's evergreen. It's "Will blank get me banned?" The link will be top right corner and in the description.
Yeah.
But I think that's... For these kind of questions, that's got to be the starting point. And if it's not obvious to you from that why it might be a risk, maybe ask again, but something more specific. And I think maybe, You know what, we've got some questions from the same yazan, Kayali later, and that might be illuminating as to why they're asking this question.
In this case, the answer is pretty obvious, which is that if you have somebody brand new and they're level 60, especially if they're Elite 10, that's impossible. If they're an online multiplayer challenge, you just can't do it. And even if you just have them at Elite 10, you'd have to wait a while to be able to do breakthroughs to get them there. So basically, the idea is anytime you do something that would not be possible unless you had done something that you weren't supposed to your account, there's a chance that you can get either auto-banned, or if it's not something that auto-bans you, manually reported and then banned.
Right.
Yeah, and
so I think that hits it. Yeah.
That's the crux of it, I think.
Okay.
Our next question comes from Sanjay Mathew, and they say, "This really has nothing to do with anything, but when they accidentally pressed the button to go to the home screen, it said it was 42 degrees Celsius outside. Does anyone know how much that is in Fahrenheit? I'm too lazy to look it up. And first off, I really appreciate that you're kind of just using our comment section as a discussion board, where you're looking up things that you can Google, because it's all viewer retention, baby.
That's true.
It doesn't matter what it has to do with anything. YouTube recognizes that as one comment on our videos, and that helps us out as much as any other comment does.
Yeah, but I actually like this question because I'm a bit of a math nerd, and I should point out first, that's not the temperature outside. That was the temperature of the device that the game was being played on. And I don't know if anybody else has an idea of what the temperature of their device normally runs at, but when it starts off cold, it's in the high 20s, Celsius at least, and then once it hits the 40s is when it starts really failing, and it's not recognizing touches, and it's all that stuff. That's the first part. But the second part is, this is kind of a cool question because, all right, so there's a formula, right, for converting between Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And I don't actually know the formula, but I can do the calculation based on first principles every time because of how Celsius is constructed, right? So did we ever talk about the Celsius was constructed so that 0 degrees Celsius would be
freezing
of water, and 100 degrees Celsius would be
boiling.
Right, and that's perfect. Like, that's actually a well-constructed sort of unit system.
Yeah, because it makes sense, because water is one of the most common things that you're checking the temperature of, right? Especially in stuff like cooking.
So those are the first two pieces of information. The second two pieces are, I know that 32 degrees Fahrenheit is the freezing point of water, and 212 degrees Fahrenheit is the boiling point. So the first part that tells you is that the difference between freezing is 32 degrees. So getting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you have to first take off 32. Now, if you're doing that at 0 degrees Celsius, it just takes you right there. But if you're at 212, that still only gets you to 180. So what does it take to get from 180 to 100?
Yeah, so what's the linear scale once we've basically shifted the equations? What you're doing is, that's like a vertical shift almost, if you're imagining it on a graph, right?
Right. And so 180 you multiply by 5 or 9 would give you 100. So that's the factor. So when you want to go from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you take away 32, then multiply by 5 and divide by 9. And just do the exact opposite. So 42 degrees Celsius, you do the opposite. So you multiply by 9 over 5, which gives you 76. And then you add 32, which gives you 108 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So there you go.
There's your math lesson. And if anybody wants me to see, this isn't that impressive because we're doing this on video, so nobody knows if I'm cheating or not. But if you ever want to hear me, if anybody ever meets me and figures out who I am, I will tell you pi to 25 digits off the top of my head.
And I will tell you pi to a significantly smaller number of digits, also off the top of my head.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to come up much in real life. I remember reading something ridiculous where if somebody wanted to calculate the volume of the universe to some sort of what felt like a really small number, that you'd only need pi to like 15 digits. So everything else after that is kind of
because with each digit, it's like it's an order of magnitude, right?
Right.
Only one more number is one order of magnitude, so it's one of those things that like you get diminishing returns really quick.
Oh yeah.
Like that's this is also completely unrelated, but it's like that's the interesting thought experiment where somebody is like, let's say you have like a rope that's tied all the way around the earth. How much more rope do you need to raise that rope 1 meter off the ground? Like, let's say you want to have like a movie premiere kind of like barrier. If you have like a velvet rope, how much extra rope do you think if you start out with it wrapped all the way around the earth?
We talked about this. I can't remember now.
It's only 6.14 meters.
Which is nothing.
Yeah, because you'd think it would be more because it's like a meter around the whole earth. But the thing about it is the difference between radius and circumference is always, right? Circumference is always 2 pi r no matter what. So if you want to increase radius by a meter, you just increase, right? The circumference increases by 2 pi r. So no matter what, if you want it a meter away from like a rubber ball, it's the same amount as if you want it a meter away from the entire earth. So that's like cool. Because it doesn't seem like it should be, but the relationship is constant.
Right, because of the scale. When you talk when it's something small, it seems like a big change, but when you're talking about a huge earth. Huge for us, yeah.
Yeah, you're like,
That's
well,
cool.
you need a ton. So that's just some random math ephemera for all you math nerds out there, or for all you people that weren't convinced that we were big enough nerds just because we have an old mobile games content as our primary YouTube content. If you didn't think that was if you didn't think that was nerdy enough, there's another reason.
There you go.
I don't know if that makes us hippies or not, but I guess we'll see. We'll have to check back in with Soul Reaper and see how we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, our next question comes from Yael Olivo, and they say, "Great work, guys. I hope the app and your channel continue for a long time. Wish you the best. First off, that's very nice. Thank you. Appreciate that." And then they continue, "I just have a question. I don't have a lot of money to buy many things, and I don't have good gear. The best are the ones from Survivor. So I want to know any strategy for winning online so I have better gear. My best characters are Jessica Cruz Elite 8, Wonder Woman Dawn of Justice Elite 10, and Deathstroke Arkham Elite 10.
All right, so here's your problem. With an Elite 8 Jessica Cruz and without the right gears, you're going to be struggling to win enough fights to rank up.
Yeah.
So you're really better off having lower level cards when you have lower level gears. You put in the time for one season and then abuse the heck out of the multiplayer online reward glitch to get the gears and shards to max out a few good gears. I mean,
Yeah.
if you haven't already, you should check out the video that we did with a team that only had characters that you could buy from the store, like just a plain vanilla kind of team, using only gears available in the gear lockers.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a couple runs through Ultimate, right? Mm-hmm. So that was Regime Green Lantern, New 52 Nightwing, and Regime Black Adam. And we were able with that team to get more than 90% of the maximum battle points possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if your problem is winning and it's not the amount of time you have, what you do is you keep actually using worse and worse characters until you find that sweet spot where you can consistently win. Mm-hmm. Or you start low and work your way up if you don't want to have the problem of still losing in the meantime while you're figuring it out. Yeah. Because the important part is that once you're taking advantage of the glitch, for every rank up you have in online multiplayer, when you take advantage of it, it brings you some pretty incredible value, because every time you reset it, you get the rewards at the higher level over and over and over again. So the most important thing is to just get medium to good as possible for your rewards, and then just abuse a glitch, and then the gear will come. The gear will follow that.
Yeah, the main mistake I think you're making, or they're making, is that you're trying to push the wrong limit first.
Yeah.
When you've got really good characters, you're going to be facing really good characters that actually have much better gears than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's really important that you either develop your characters and your gear kind of in lockstep, or if anything, you develop your gear before your characters, because then you actually get pretty easy online multiplayer fights.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So there we go. Hope that helps. Our next question comes from Anonymous B, and they say, "Hey guys, for your Q&A, which I got way is easy in my top 5 podcasts these days."
So I think they're saying that maybe we're in their top 5 podcasts. That's kind of cool.
And I just want to say I absolutely love that idea, because my top 5 podcasts are also very dear to me. And so I think talking about us in terms of podcasts specifically is a compliment that really hits home for me. So
cool.
I appreciate that, because I love me some good podcasts. The McElroy brothers.
I like Sawbones.
Sawbones is very good. Yeah, medical history podcast. It's wonderful for nerds, but it's also just wonderful for everybody. Yeah, no, I highly recommend pretty much everything the McElroys touch.
Even MeUndies?
They're okay. They're okay. They're not bad. They're not, I think, as great as I was hoping they would be, but they get the job done. Okay,
all right. So total sidetrack here. I've worn underwears. Underwears. I've worn underwear for years, and it's taken me.
You've worn underwear for years?
Well, not each piece, but that I've actually finally found one that fits really good and is comfortable. And the problem now is nobody carries it. It's Everlast. They used to carry it at Walmart. Walmart no longer carries it, so I actually had to order a bunch from Everlast online. Mm-hmm. Not that I wear through them that fast. It's not like I've got toxic sweat or anything. But,
yeah, I really like the statement that you said, I wear underwear for years. Like, there was a long period in your life where you didn't wear underwear. like I've been wearing underwear my entire life.
Like, and it's been a long one too.
Yeah.
All right,
but it's like, I've been wearing underwear for years, like 7 at least. I'd say the last 7 years for sure I've been wearing underwear.
Almost every day.
Oh.
Almost, even whether I need to or not.
Weekends?
Weekends too.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry. Anonymous B.
Anonymous B also has a question. So thank you for the question, and also thank you for your patience. They say, what do you think about the idea of giving us players the ability somehow, either paid or for it earned, to upgrade the lower tier gold cards to higher tier and compete with newer tier cards in overall power and health? Gaining the ability to play, say, Regime Superman with New 52 Wonder Woman, or equaling some Arkham characters to the higher stat others would be pretty kick-ass. Possibly a high number power and health max that allows all cards to become playable with each other, I think is essential for this game to evolve. Thanks. And
yeah, thank you, Anonymous B.
Yeah, and I think one thing to note is they've done that a little bit. Breakthrough is kind of that. Augments is also kind of that. Right? Both those systems, I think, actually let you do that, to some extent.
So I'm going to put out a non-intuitive thing out there. I'm going to say, I'm going on a limb, and I'm going to say I think they might have achieved the same effect by maxing out battle points at 5,000 per fight at a relatively low level now.
Yeah.
So, all right, so here's the thing. I think what we're talking about is that there's an underlying desire to have all the cards be competitive and useful and fun to play. And in my mind, it's like those role-playing games that let you assign a certain number of points to different attributes.
Oh, for like character creation and like leveling.
Right. So you decide how a character plays out, right? Based on your own decisions with the same resources at the beginning. And, maybe a certain range of total damage and health as a base starting point would be the same thing for Injustice, right? So there's a combination of it, and there's a variation, but then it's not so broad, right?
So you're saying it's just like it's like an RPG system with like how many would you say there are? There's like maybe 4 different like axes for improvement in Injustice.
All right, speed, damage, health.
But you can't improve speed. I was thinking damage, health, level, and elite level are like 4 different like traits that you can level up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, okay, I guess that works. I was thinking more along the lines of something that's built in that you can't change.
So you're talking about RPG assignment, not like actually like during leveling. You're talking about just like when like character creation, almost like somebody's like a rogue, for example, and they have a certain style.
Your experience goes up, right? And then your experience goes up, so you still improve, and that changes.
Yeah, but your style remains constant. Okay.
So maybe the speed of play and the passive.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I wouldn't want it all to be the same, because different characters have advantages from other things like basic combos, specials, and like I said, passives, right? So you want there to be a variety, so that you end up discovering little ways to play each character differently, right? So here's the thing too. I think what works is, because you've got a bunch of different cards that have the potential to be higher, one thing we've done is try to keep them all at a similar level, maybe play them at a lower level, so that we still get 5,000 battle points.
And we also still get variety in our fights.
Right, but the main problem with limiting your own cards and keeping them artificially low is that if you've got something else that you've already fully promoted, you don't have a lot of choice about what you can do with them. But the advantage is that it takes a lot less time to have submaximal cards that get 5,000 battle points than to get them past, level 60 Elite 10 if you're talking about somebody like, Regime Superman, who's weaker than the newer guys. So when they hit 60 and 10, they're not as strong as some of the new guys at 60 and 10, right?
Yeah.
So I think to me the best solution would, besides the fact that they're maxing out battle points at 5,000 and you just keep your guys from right at the top, is that if you could revert your characters, that would still be a similar solution, and you would still have you'd be able to get there faster.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. There's a lot of different possible things they can do, and I think there's already some stuff that they can do, which is in some ways like that, right? Because you can have a character who, is at a different level, an elite level, and that kind of already is, letting people play with the big dogs. But then, like, past that, breakthrough and then augmentation, if you fully augment somebody and fully break through them in their elite 10 level 60, that gets them competitive with new characters, and I think for the most part the form that you encounter them,
Oh, I just, something else just occurred to me. The higher promotion level you get, the more your damage and health go up, but gold cards, their health goes up faster than their damage.
Yeah.
right? So somebody who's like the same health and damage at the base, they end up
Yeah,
still
because
with the...
bronzes are pretty glass cannons, actually.
Right, so that would actually be better for the way I like to play, which is high damage,
Yeah.
proportionally at the lower level.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
that's why some of the fights are better, too, because proportionally they have just better damage.
That's true. That makes more sense. So everybody's kind of more of a glass cannon. The lower stats they are, or the lower tier they are.
Yeah. Okay, so you know what? And here's the other thing, too. On the only place where you actually just want the maximal health, or sorry, maximum promotion stats or whatever, is in single player. So once you've gotten past single player, you really only need like the one team of 3 people.
Yeah, you just want fights to be fun.
So maybe that should be a different kind of new advice for newer players, that when you start, your goal should be to max out a group of 3 that are easy to max out, but that you don't necessarily want to play in multiplayer because we can't revert them.
Yeah, and then you get the option to pick later once you have more experience to see what you actually
Right.
want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. That's a revelation.
Yes, it is.
That's cool. Okay, our next question also comes from Yazan, Kayali, and they say, why are you playing the same team? Change this team with Rebirth or Blackest Night team. And I just want to mention, I'm probably going to pronounce this person's name 3 different ways.
One of them might be right.
One of them might be right. I wanna point it out. I'm not immune to criticism. Feel free to criticize me for it. I just wanted to point it out in case somebody else noticed it, because it's probably gonna happen.
It's not like you're having a stroke or anything. It's just that
No.
you're just trying out different ways.
Yeah, I'm not great at pronouncing names, and I have to do a lot of it for this channel.
It is interesting, right? Yeah, for this channel, we've actually seen a lot of different names from a lot of different languages, I think.
Yeah, and you
It's
would have
interesting.
thought that after long enough, I would have gotten better at pronouncing them.
Too many people.
Too many people.
All right, so there's an idea in finance called return on investment. They call it ROI as a what do you call it, an acronym? And
Yeah.
so there's lots of people that over the years have been asking for different teams in the comments, but there's not enough people watching them.
Yeah.
The funniest part is that this is only the 3rd video with the team that Yazan is complaining about, which is what we consider the best multiplayer team.
Yeah, maybe because we switched it up once, he was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is-
Well,
this is what's going on
it.
now.
So
Yeah, this is the
clearly
new
marks
norm.
him as somebody who's relatively new, because we've done about a year of the Flashpoint team, and I think more than 9 months of what we call the BDCKR special with Elseworld Flash and Containment Doomsday, and the link is in the description of the video, and planning and practicing with different teams takes a not insignificant amount of time. And the main feature of our Q&C&A&T should be our A&T. Or should I say
Yeah.
T&A?
No, you shouldn't.
It's still the same thing, right? It's talk and answers. And we have gameplay in the background as a bonus since we're playing anyway. And so we have videos with specific teams where we talk about the strategy behind team composition and gear loadouts. And you can watch those if you want different teams. And so let me link the playlist for that too, right?
Yeah.
But there's not really a lot of motivation, because for the amount of time it would take, it would probably cut into the kind of content we could actually make. If we needed it to bring out new teams each time, we wouldn't be able to do Q&C&A&T every week.
Yeah.
Interesting data point though. This commenter has basically volunteered in the comments that he hacks the game, and we've got, I guess, at least 6 comments that I've seen where he just goes ahead and says, yeah, I'm hacker, I did this by hacking,
Yeah.
I did this by hacking, I did this
Well,
by hacking.
and you say basically. I mean, he literally has volunteered in the comments. This is, I think that's fair to say. Yeah, he says, me, got the Donovan Justice booster 30 times with a lot of augmentation cards and rare gears by hacking. Says something like, I'm a hacker. I don't need money to get credits. You're crazy. Being a hacker is the best, because you only didn't be a hacker. If you did, you'll love being a hacker. So generally, he is promoting the hacker lifestyle. He's selling lifestyles just like Apple is, just like all the big brands. He's like, the hacker lifestyle. Come on over. The water's real fine. I'll give you all the credits you want. No work. Don't worry about it. I'll hook you up.
And I'm not doing it to shame him or anything, right? Because aside from just any moral or ideological issues,
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect example of how hacking can mess up your enjoyment of the game. not even necessarily directly. I think the part of the problem is that you lose out on actually playing the game. So cheating with glitches can be the same thing too, but I think to a much smaller degree.
Yeah. And I think it depends on how much you use them, because glitches universally take some degree of work.
Mm-hmm.
So, whether or not they totally break the game, sometimes they don't. Sometimes challenge reset, they just give you an opportunity to play more. And I think that one, you still get the sense of earning it. It's just not as frustrating because you can never get your challenge characters up to Elite 7, without a ton of money.
You appreciate stuff more, right? So even if a glitch only speeds things up a little bit, you still appreciate it because it still speeds things up, right? Because if you're like us and you've spent a decent amount of time grinding and trying to make progress legitimately, you get an appreciation for the quick fights and the pros and cons of each of the cards and gears that you have. Like, you almost can't get away from just trying stuff out,
learning
right?
about them,
Yeah,
so, and I think for sure in early game, I think I mentioned this before, but the progression is quick enough that I think early game is probably best to play without glitches.
Yeah.
Just for quality of experience. I feel like as you're earning stuff right at the beginning, it goes pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And here's the problem, right? Because you're still accumulating a little bit at a time, but when you get a whole bunch of stuff at once, and you haven't had to play the game very much, not only is it hard to appreciate what you have, it's also harder to use what you have effectively, right? So to me, that's why someone would think the Blackest Night team is potentially better than either Flashpoint or our, Justice League best MP team.
Yeah.
People who haven't played a lot take a little longer to figure out that facing a team which is more difficult on defense, like a Blackest Night team, because they, if it's got Hawk Girl on it, they all revive at least once. Yeah. So it feels like you're fighting more than 3 guys. The fights take longer, but that's facing them on defense, right? And just because they are a hassle on defense doesn't actually make them a good team to use on offense.
Yeah, because the actual criteria for each is pretty different.
Right. I mean, every defensive feature, everything that makes them harder to fight, with the exception of maybe the huge amount of damage that the Flashpoint team does, any kind of defensive feature, like healing, revive, it comes at the opportunity cost of having offensive features.
Yeah.
Right? So you gear a team out, or you make a team to be better defensively, there was a chance there you could have made them stronger offensively.
Yeah.
Oh, have you noticed that the questions that come from hackers are often, I have all the cards and all the gears, give me some good combinations.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But, and the reason why I don't think that they're just newer players, because newer players tend to be, who should I get? What should I do? And it's more of an aspirational question, right?
Yeah, it's like, one day I'm going to have this stuff if I'm putting the time in. I want to do it efficiently.
And I want to make sure I'm aiming for something that's still going to be useful at the end.
Yeah.
Right? So, like you were saying, with the natural progression, you start out with very little. You have to play with what you have. Then, as you get new content that's better than what you have, you play with it a bunch and decide if you like it or not. Yeah. And then, that's sort of the sweet spot where cheating a little bit with glitches really helps, because then you can see what you want, and then
you just get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you take away a bunch of the grind where you're just doing stuff mindlessly, right?
Yeah, because in early days when you're getting bronze and silver, it makes sense to get, a couple of those every day, right? So when you start out with just bronzes, you're not necessarily getting better characters, but it's really easy to expand your roster to start being able to play for much longer, right? If you want to in a single session. And then you get silvers and you start to get a better roster. And then if you're still buying bronzes, you're getting support cards, right? Which is noticeable damage differences. You're unlocking you're unlocking their specials. You're making their specials higher damage. There's a ton of stuff to buy and a ton of stuff to do, and all of it's cool and valuable, and early game quick. And so I think for sure, early game, I would recommend playing without hacking or glitching if that's an option afforded to you. Oh man, it looks like we're actually almost out of time. We talked for a while. We still have 2 more questions that I think we might need to bump.
We'll do just the one. Save the next one for next week, and then we'll do our outro appreciation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So our next and final question comes from Tiger D. Or this isn't a question. This is a comment, but we don't have time. They say a team that just won't die: Raven Prime, 2 Fourth Lord gears plus health gear, Superman Injustice 2, Lex Core set, Batman Ninja Batman, Gingold, Killer Croc Companion, Health Gear. Great for annoying the enemy on defense.
I guess, that's a strategy that people use, but I'm not a big fan of making the game frustrating for other players. And now, listen, here's the other thing. If it means winning, like, I don't mind a flashpoint team on defense, like leaving one on defense, because high damage, not a lot of defensive potential. Yeah. It's, there's a big chance of winning, there's a chance of losing.
Yeah, but it lets people do it kind of quick. It lets people play in what we feel like is the most fun way, and so it means that ideally, even if they lose, it's not as frustrating. And we can't know that other people feel that way, but we're doing what we would want to see in teams to fight.
It's the golden injustice rule.
Yeah.
We're leaving defensive teams the way we like to face defensive teams.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to say too? I think the Flashpoint team probably will do a better job than that team of not only drawing fights but winning them, right? So you'll get lots of matches, and you'll face a bunch of guys, and you'll win a decent percentage of those fights.
Yeah. So there we go. And now we've run out of video. We'll have to stick something on at the end. Let's thank some folks.
Yes.
First off, if you want to be a person that we thank, we would love it if you decided to support us on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/bdckr, or you can click on our face in the bottom right corner at the end of this video in just a few seconds here. But what we're going to do for now, until you decide to throw some money our way or not, and we continue to do things the way that we have been, we're going to thank the people who've already decided to toss a couple bucks our way, because we're super appreciative.
And some more than a couple bucks.
More than a couple, yeah, some a significant sum of money that is frankly still kind of insane to think about that people do this for us. So a huge thank you to Eddy G, Edwin Felix, and Console Peasant, who are supporting us at the highest tier, Last Word, iProphet, who is supporting us at the Your Message Here tier, and Shawn, Farrell, LAIN, and Daniel Simonson, who are supporting us on the credited level. And I think this is a good time to bring in Forrest Viking and Laszlo Drjades and Chris Wolf, who are all supporting us on the technically uncredited level, but every once in a while we like to say thanks, not because you paid us to say thank you, but because we're appreciative. And at the end of the day, we would thank all of you guys anyways, because we're so appreciative, and your support means so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.